I came to the junkyard thinking it would be just another quiet day, just another walk among forgotten metal and rust. I wasn't expecting to find anything worth my time, but then I saw it. Hiding under piles of debris, half buried in dust, a supercar, or what used to be one, the Audi R8. At first glance, it looked like a car that had fought 100 battles and lost every single one. The paint was scratched, the body panels were dented beyond recognition, and the tires looked like they hadn't touched asphalt in decades. The engines. I came to the junkyard thinking it would be just another quiet day, just another walk among forgotten metal and rust. I wasn't expecting to find anything worth my time, but then I saw it. Hiding under piles of debris, half buried in dust, a supercar, or what used to be one, the Audi R8. At first glance, it looked like a car that had fought 100 battles and lost every single one. The paint was scratched, the body panels were dented beyond recognition, and the tires looked like they hadn't touched asphalt in decades. The engine sat there in silence, almost as if it was mocking me. Most people would have walked past it. Some might have called it a lost cause, maybe even laughed at the idea of touching it. But I've always believed that every broken machine has a story, and this one was screaming to be told. So I did the only thing that made sense. I loaded it onto my trailer and dragged it back to my garage. And let me tell you, it was not an easy task. Every bump along the way made me wonder if this was a good idea, or if I just signed up for a week-long headache with a hint of regret. Once it was in the garage, I stood there for a moment, just staring at it. This wasn't just a car, it was a challenge, a puzzle, a wrecked masterpiece waiting to be reborn. And I knew the road ahead was going to be messy, complicated, and honestly, kind of hilarious at times. I grabbed my tools, took a deep breath, and started by inspecting the engine. Now, I've restored a few cars before, but there's something about a broken Audi R8 that feels intimidating. Every bolt, every cable, every tiny piece told me it was going to take patience, precision, and maybe a little bit of luck. And luck, as it turns out, was not on my side at first. Parts were missing, screws had rusted into the frame, wires were tangled like spaghetti. At one point, I even stared at a piece and thought, how did anyone even assemble this thing in the first place? But that's the fun part. That's the challenge. Every time I fixed one thing, another problem popped up. It was like the car was testing me, daring me to quit. And of course, I didn't. There were moments where I almost laughed at the absurdity of it all, like when I tried to lift the hood and it barely moved, squeaking like it had never been opened in years. Or when the engine parts refused to fit no matter how I turned or twisted them. It felt like the car had a personality, almost like it was alive and playing a prank on me. But slowly, step by step, things began to change. Nuts were tightened, wires connected, fluids replaced. The garage started to fill with the sounds of work, the clink of metal, the hum of the drill, the occasional muttered curse that I like to think is part of every good restoration story. And while all of this was happening, I kept thinking about what this car must have been like when it was new. Sleek, powerful, and fast, a true supercar in every sense. Seeing it in this broken state was almost heartbreaking. But I also knew that by the end of today, it wouldn't just be a restored car. It would be a story of patience, determination, and a little bit of stubborn madness. Step by step, the body panels were repaired. Dents that seemed impossible to fix slowly disappeared under careful hammering and gentle persuasion. I won't lie, there were moments when I hit the metal a little too hard and thought, well, that probably made it worse. But somehow, the Audi seemed to forgive me, piece by piece. The paint job was next. Oh boy, this part is always tricky. Matching colors, sanding, polishing. It's almost like trying to repaint a rainbow on a canvas that keeps moving. And yes, there were a few oops moments. At one point, I accidentally spilled a tiny bit of paint, and it looked like the car was wearing a funky tie-dye pattern. I laughed so hard I almost forgot it was a serious restoration. Then came the engine. This was the heart of the car, and honestly, it was intimidating. Every part that I put in felt like solving a puzzle from another dimension. Wires, pistons, belts, one wrong move, and the whole thing could stay silent forever. I triple-checked everything, muttering to myself, "You got this, maybe." And just when I thought I was done, the car threw me a little surprise. A seized bolt refused to budge. I tried everything: oil, heat, brute force, and finally, after what felt like an eternity, it popped out. Victory! And yes, there was a small victory dance in the garage, because sometimes that's the kind of day it is when you're restoring a supercar. As the hours passed, the car slowly started to come back to life. The engine roared faintly for the first time, a sound that made every struggle worth it. I stepped back, looked at it, and thought, this is what restoration is all about. The messy, frustrating, joyful process of giving life back to something that was forgotten. By the time it was ready for its first test drive, the Audi R8 looked almost brand new. Every panel shined, every wheel spun freely, and the engine purred like a cat that had just had its morning coffee. I couldn't help but smile. This car had been through a lot, but so had I. Together, we made it. And finally, the moment of truth. I started the engine, pressed the accelerator gently, and felt that rush, the power, the history, the journey of this car coming back to life. The Audi R8, once abandoned and forgotten, now alive again, roaring as if to say, "Thanks for believing in me." As I drove it around the garage for the final check, I thought about all the cars waiting out there in junkyards, waiting for someone to tell their story. That's the magic of restoration, taking something broken and forgotten and turning it into a legend once more. So, that's today's story. The Audi R8 is back, and it's not just a car, it's a testament to patience, determination, and maybe a little bit of madness. And if you enjoyed watching this journey, stick around, because the garage is full of cars with stories that are just waiting to be told. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, because you won't want to miss the next legendary restoration in Jan's Motor Stories.